We just had a FaceTime and commercial break with your lovely family, and you're lucky you're a good dad because you butt dialed me on the weekend and you left me a voicemail, and it went, you get 2 blueberries and you get 1 berry and you get 2. And this went on. I was reading it. I don't know how. I don't even ever check my voicemail. And that's why I know you would never leave me one. It was reading out to me saying, you get 1 blueberry. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah, man. We're on a
tight. This guy get me a bushel of fruit or something?
tight blueberry budget over here, man. It's because you know what it's like. Like we all have
that's
kids.
A dangerous game. Like if you were carving me to some of your buddies and that was going on a voicemail.
That's a great point.
Jesus, man.
I know. I
you
was
have
shocked.
no idea what's coming out of your mouth, and it's being left on a voicemail on a butt dial. You could just be destroying that person.
Yeah.
O-Dog loves sour keys. He's a loser in real life.
You're right.
He's
man.
a loser.
That's a dangerous butt dial game, man.
It's happened before. Like people have been caught in a bad butt dial. Like before, where they're
if you
talking
got a bad
about
butt dial story, please send it to our Twitter account.
Yeah, I want to hear
I can
it.
get into that.
Because I honestly don't even have a clue how I would have done that. Because you then called me twice, and I called you thinking like, what do you want? And you're like, well, what do you want? You called me, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
If memory serves me correct, I think there's been some bad butt dials in the National Hockey League on the bus.
Yeah,
really?
Well, that's the thing. Like if you call, you call your wife or you call a friend or a parent or a coach by accident or something like that.
And you are saying some things after a game. Yeah, the coach didn't do this. We couldn't get a save. Like you imagine some of the stuff that goes on, man.
Not good.
I know a buddy that was in Vegas, and he just called home to say, how's everybody doing? Checking in. And he thought he hung up the phone and then had a message for his buddies.
Oh, no.
And that message didn't get played for 3 months until there was a backyard barbecue with a bunch of people in the backyard. And then that message went to air, and it was a disaster.
That's not good, man. That's not good. And I guess I was possibly in a position to do that, but what I was actually doing was brokering lunch with my kids because
negotiating with them.
Yeah, well, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Everyone wants something else. She wants lemonade. She wants orange juice. I eat raspberries. I don't like raspberries. I want pears. Oh, these pears, are they ripe enough? Are they not? Well, it's just it's nonstop.
It's a better story, that you're telling it that he's a patient father.
Oh, yeah.
Then you see, then you hear him going, "You take this, or you're going to your room," or
You could have had those are out there. You could have got a butt dial on a Snap show.
Oh, yeah.
Bill O'Reilly.
Yes, the Bill O'Reilly. Like we'll do it live because, like my daughter yesterday asked me. She looked at me and I was yawning in the morning, and she goes, "You yawn a lot. Why are you yawning?" And I'm like, You're the reason I'm yawning.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that would have pissed you off.
Oh, man. I was like...
Get up for like some kind of 4 a.m. hockey practice.
That's what it was.
The audacity to say you yawn a lot.
Man, you yawn a lot. I'm like,
I would have lost my
thank you.
mind.
We were on the ice at 7 a.m. I'm exhausted. Yeah. Why do you think I yawn? I can tell you, I wasn't yawning 10 years ago when you guys weren't around. I was up and at 'em. And it was all good. Now I'm exhausted all the time.
So true.
Very simple.
Well, it changes from blueberries to strawberries to ice hockey. My daughter, soon, I literally have to take she's taking pictures of cars.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like looking to buy, get into cars. Like start
with
driving.
With little hints saying, I'm not sure if you were ever going to buy me a car but... So now I got to take her up to see Pete at McAlpine Ford in the next year and a half and say...
Tell him what's up.
I have to buy her a car.
Wow,
but
make
the
sure
thing
it's
that's concerning me is,
come on now.
Cars need gas. They need I guess as a dad, you're just flipping the bill for all of that, man.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a car, exactly. If she doesn't have a job or anything, it's not gonna do anything unless there's some gas.
That might be the lesson. You don't have a job, there is no.
That's the play. Exactly.
I'm telling you,
I'll grab you a car. You're paying for the gas.
Everyone's got to work. That's the way I started working. I was 12.
Same thing. Same thing,
12
man.
years old.
I don't think that
I mowed lawns for senior citizens until I had an accident at Mrs. Franco's house, and that was it. Things went south.
What happened? You bowl her over or something?
No,
what happened?
She would demand that her lawn be mowed at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Well, the dew it's wet. And she had a hill, and I was pushing it up the hill, and I slipped, and the lawnmower came back at me. So I rolled out of the way, and it went and mowed down her garden. So she was pissed. I get it, but it's $4 an hour. What do you want?
We don't need to be working with ladies.
She's got a right to be angry at that point. You can't let the thing slide through the
Dude, it was wet.
rose bed.
It was the dew. I almost got run over by her own lawnmower.
I know.
It was ridiculous.
It does suck when you try to mow like a wet lawn. It just can't.
Yeah.
It's never going to work for you. All right, Leo's still to come later in the hour. Best Bets coming up as well. Here's our TSN hockey insider, Pierre LeBrun. What's happening, Pierre?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Well, I heard you guys talking about the Masters. That's
a week away.
I'm excited. How about Corey Connors as a sneaky pick?
He is Mr. Top 10, and he loves that course. Like Connors T10s there a lot. He just needs to get over the top and shoot low on a Sunday. That's my problem with Corey. It's not a problem, but it's just it's a reasonable critique.
He's so tentative on a Sunday.
Yeah,
he's like the
shoots
putts
a
don't get to the
71,
hole, and he's a 72.
Yeah, like you got to shoot 65 on Sunday if you want to win the tournament. You got to do that, and that's just hasn't been in his nature. So I don't know. I could see he'll make the cut for sure.
Dude,
I could see a top 10 for sure.
Rope hook missile like that, like all day at that golf course.
I love Connors at that place. I love it. I just want to see him go low on Sunday.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Anyway, the Leafs are red hot now. How about this, Pierre? What a weekend for the Maple Leafs. First place. Are you a believer that they'll hold on now? That is the evergreen topic with this team.
Yeah. I think they're winning the Atlantic, and we're getting the Battle of Ontario. Book it.
Yes. Can you ask for anything better than that? I think that would be a grand slam for the league, for both fan bases, for the country. I mean, I don't think you could ask for anything better, because what that also would mean is the Battle of Florida happening at the same time. You'd have Panthers Lightning in the first round. That's just simply the two best matchups you could ever ask for in the East.
No question. I saw your hazy B list there, and I think nothing's totally 100% yet because it's still 3 weeks away. But I think my covering marching orders from the Athletic, I think I might be doing Dallas, Colorado opening round, which I got to tell you, I'd be pretty excited to cover that series.
You can sell your house in San Jose, Pierre.
Yeah, those were the days. Remember those days when I was always out there for ESPN? Oh man, that was a lot of fun too. But Dallas, Colorado, to me, is the Western Conference Final happening right out of the gates. So yeah, listen, we criticize the playoff format a ton, but then we get jazzed up about some of these series that are existing under the format that we don't like. So kind of talking to both sides of our mouth, I guess.
Yeah, that's very true. How about this John Tavares situation? I'm curious where you stand on this. In terms of, like, he's got 35 goals, more than a point a game. This guy might score 40, have 83, 84 points. I mean, not quite a career year. The career year was his first year. That was when he first got here, had 47 goals and I think 87 points. But if he scores 40, let's say 82 points, do you think any of what he's doing during the regular season has any effect on what he would be asking for or demanding for in free agency, or how the Leafs would be willing to approach his contract situation once they get Marner out of the way? Because we all understand they have to figure that out first.
Yeah, I think it has some impact to some degree. I tweeted about this Saturday night. For whatever reason, it seemed to hit a nerve with fans who came at me off the top rope. I'm just stating facts, man. I have no skin in the game. I just pointed out that, by the way, I think Tavares would have absolutely been willing to sign an extension back in September before the season even started. He wants to stay here. I also, as I tweeted, totally understand the Leafs wanting to wait, to see how he was again this year as he gets older. And to your point, the Marner situation. So totally I probably would have waited too if I was the Leafs. But the point I made Saturday night in that tweet was very simply, and it's hardly earth-shattering, whatever number Tavares would have probably been willing to do in September will have gone up now at the end of this year.
Okay, let me just stop you there, Pierre.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Continue.
Hold on.
Continue.
For two reasons. And then you can do like Leaf fans and come off the top rope. But not only because of his amazing season, but also, and this is probably even a bigger reason, quite frankly, we've got a natural inflation happening in the market now with the cap numbers going up drastically. That you just saw it with the last couple of extensions around the league, including Chychrun. So I just don't think the number that was there in September will be there at the end of the season. I could be wrong, but that's my read from, let's just say, inquiring a little on it.
And you're saying that's from Tavares' perspective. That's John saying your belief is I would expect this now compared to what I would have expected.
Here's what I
September.
expect, and I totally agree with your comment at the beginning of the season, Brian, or the show, Brian. If he wants to make a bunch of money, he's not doing it in Toronto, Pierre. Would you not agree with that? This is not going to be a money-oriented deal.
Yeah, no, that's fair too. I still think he's probably willing to take less in here than on the open market for sure. But two things can be true here. That doesn't mean that the number isn't slightly higher now than it was in September. It has to be. Like, why would it stay the same? Come on.
Well, but this isn't. He's been the same guy throughout his career. I mean, to his credit, that's a compliment. Like, he has been consistent his whole career. Go ahead, Noodles.
Well, I guess you're right from a leverage standpoint as far as this season, but aren't contracts supposed to be what you're going to do in the future and not past? Like, that's the only,
Since when?
Caveat. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll ask Julien Brisebois. You know what
Sure.
What a move by them saying, sorry, Stammers, see you later.
Like,
what a play. What a play.
And that's my point is you're right. He's not a legacy player is the wrong word, but he is a guy that has had 7 great years or 7 really good years for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if he wants to stay, I think that the Leafs right now, they still hold the cards because he wants to play for that team. So it has to work for them as well as it has to work for him. And I don't know if the price has gone up, gone down, because I don't know what his marketplace is right now. And you still have to get through the playoffs, don't you, Pierre? Because if it doesn't go well and they look to change the structure of the team, it doesn't matter what he's making. They might move past players to try and get younger. Like that's
a huge point, Noodles, for sure. I mean,
right?
And frankly, that probably applies to Marner too, to some degree,
right.
Even though he's a very special player. Like, if it's Groundhog Day in the opening round of the playoffs for the Leafs, there's some serious decisions to be made here, right? But this could be the year they do. I'm probably going to get radioed. I see the Leafs going deep this year. So I just think they're better constructed for that time of year, and I think this is the year that they have a bit of success. And so that'll make things interesting from what we're talking about anyway, if that happens. But no, I mean, listen, unless something changes drastically, and it can, these things change with one phone call. My understanding of the situation is that everyone understood they would wait until after the year now to get back at this on the Tavares front. I'm just pointing out, like, I think it was sort of planted early in this market. Well, obviously, Tavares owes the market a big pay cut. He's obviously going to take a pay cut if he stays. He's taking a pay cut no matter what. He's not going to make $11 million. But I think people got a little carried away with what that pay cut was going to look like. I mean, Claude Giroux is wrapping up a 3-year deal with the Ottawa Senators at $6.5 million a year, which, I think he's fared pretty well at that contract and at his age. He's older than Tavares. But I'm just, as an example, I mean, that contract was signed 3 years ago, and he's at 6.5. Now, that was him going to Ottawa, so Ottawa had to lure him, so you pay a little extra for that.
Pierre, we agreed that those type of contracts are only for players, like only a different team is going to offer you that kind of contract. That's not for the team that's already given you $75 million, $80 million. You got to get a different team to give you that contract.
All right, so let me ask you then. So what's your number? If you're Brad Treliving, what's the number you're comfortable with on the Tavares?
Bud, I love you, man. I'm not going to get into this with you because my number would offend you so much that you would hang up the phone right now. You got to ask one of these two guys.
I think I know what your number is from talking to someone else, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm not going to say.
I'll let Noodles and Brian answer this.
Well,
and the other thing, Pierre, is term. Like, I don't want to be associated with a player. And let me just state one thing. I really like John Tavares as a player. He's good. He's on the power play. I don't want to be associated with a number or term where the wheels fall off it because I don't want to be a part of it, especially for a team that hasn't won. Hayes?
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. And listen, another example, Boston just did it. Brad Marchand was in there Sounds like almost begging. Can we work something out? No, this is the number. Like we're not budging off anything.
Vegas and Jonathan Marchessault, arguably one of the most popular players in Vegas.
And look, and that's
they
again
said,
at the forefront.
That's our number. Sorry, we're not.
This
moving
is the way it
off
goes.
Yeah.
And what those organizations represent is confidence. And look what happened in Tampa when Stamkos left. Nothing. They're still great, and they're still in the cup window.
Right.
And look at what Vegas has done without Marchessault. Nothing. They're still in the cup window, and they very well might win another one. Boston's different because they were going in a different direction. But that's the point of where I think, and I don't have the answer from a Leaf perspective, Pierre. That's another. I'm not convinced the Leafs won't just say, "All right, we just got to do it." And what are you comfortable with, John? We'll give it to you. Their history would suggest that could happen. That's how they operate when it comes to the best players. The players win the deal, and they're terrified of living without them. That may apply here. John, I don't know what the number is. Who knows what it is? Maybe it's like, I need a 4-year deal at this price. They may just say, fine, we'll give it to you. They might do that. But I would like them at some point to say, we can't operate that way. We got to operate like the best teams do, which is what Florida does, Tampa does, Vegas does. Mm-hmm. This is what we're comfortable with. If you really want to be here, then you got to sign it. If not, we'll live without you. That's the way you got to operate.
And again, the playoffs loom so large. But
absolutely, as it should.
Two further points I would make too. This conversation would be a lot cleaner too if it was just the Tavares deal in a vacuum. You can't ignore the Marner part of all this because it puts the Leafs in a position where they've got not just one decision to make here. And my point is, I agree. There's a number maybe internally the Leafs say they can't go past with Tavares. Fine. But what if they realize they can't? I actually think they will sign Marner at the end of the day, but I may be proven wrong. Mm-hmm. That's just a gut feeling. But let's say they realize, holy cow, we're actually not going to sign Mitch Marner. Are you really walking away from Marner and Tavares in the same offseason? So it's hard to look at the Tavares thing in a vacuum, I guess.
You're right. You're right. It's all intertwined.
Yeah, they're all tied together. And the other thing, too, to throw in here, you were talking about, if you look, some of the play, they've got Chris Tanev till 2030. You got Morgan Rott. You look, they've already got some guys on long-term deals.
Older guys.
Morgan Riley till 2030. Ekman Larson to 2028. Jake McCabe to 2030. There's a reason why Tree did that, because he brought the AAV down so he could fit everybody in. I look at it, with John, Claude Giroux scored 35 goals his first year in Ottawa when he came over. I think he was 34 or 35. That's your production still has to match. You can't, this isn't, a charity deal. John Tavares, wherever he signs next year, he has to produce and be a very good player for them. And if his game changes, like Claude Giroux the last couple of years, his game has changed, but he's been able to adapt. Tavares is a good enough player, a great player to adapt as well. It just has to match, your salary structure. And I think he's going to get a good number.
And then, by the way, one thing that might make sense for everyone involved is a deferred money scenario here for Tavares, who obviously, by all accounts, he plans to live the rest of his life here, regardless of whether he signs with the Leafs, post NHL career. So does it make sense if he stays with the Leafs to do one of those deferred money deals like we've seen of late, where that actually brings down the AAV, but everyone involved is comfortable with the overall money? And that's something else to ponder, I guess.
Yeah, and he's having a phenomenal year. He's been so good for them. He was so good over the weekend on this road trip. Since the Four Nations face-off, Tavares basically scores every single night. And yet he's not alone. It's like the other big three up front and the other guys. They got to have a big playoff. And that will change the tone of everything as well. I mean, everything is reliant upon them having a playoff run. Go on a run and everyone breathes easier about everything. You don't, and it becomes so much more complicated in terms of the numbers, the team building, the spin, the marketing, the fan base. It's all about actually having playoff success. Go ahead.
And the final thing I would say on Tavares, and I'm sure you guys have mentioned this, but I feel like overall it's not been a comment that's been brought up that much in this market this year, is he gave up the captaincy and didn't blink an eye and didn't let it affect his day-to-day job.
What if he didn't have a choice?
I understand that, but my point is there are examples in the history of this league where that may not have been very well welcomed by a guy.
Yeah.
That maybe there's nothing said publicly, but behind the scenes he's moping around, his production gets affected. There is zero evidence that John Tavares has been a different human being any single day of this season with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think he deserves credit for that.
Very much so. I mean, uber professional, man. Was there in August with Matthews, has been great all year, speaks with the media whenever they ask for him, contributes, puts up numbers, healthy. He's been an awesome pro. And that's what he's been his whole career.
Yeah.
With Pierre LeBrun, our TSN hockey insider. How about these St. Louis Blues, Pierre? Like, what are they going to do? Some damage? Or?
Holy mama!
Holy mama!
Yeah, they're an unbelievable story. That was my piece today in the Athletic, interviewing Doug Armstrong, and I learned a lot in that interview actually. And one was pretty much what we thought, guys, because we had talked a lot about the Blues heading into the trade deadline, but he acknowledged in this interview that, what is the one quote that really grabbed my attention right in front of my screen here? He said, he said, had we lost the 3 games prior to the trade deadline, then yeah, everything could be different here.
Wow.
That was not smoke. Like, they were talking to teams about core guys. And the thing about Doug Armstrong that I think you guys feel the same way as me is that he's not been scared over the years to shake things up. He traded Kevin Shattenkirk one year when they were actually 8th in the West. Traded Paul Stastny when they were just a couple points out. Like, he's been one of those guys like, this isn't sitting right, I'm going to do this. So there was a lot, as he said, they had to come out of Four Nations on fire for him not to go in a certain direction at the trade deadline. And guess what? I think they're on a 19-2-2 run in the last 6 weeks. Yeah. And forced his hand to believe in this team. And listen, he's happy, obviously. This is what he wanted all along, was for the retooling of this team to actually gel and take shape. Like, he still has the veteran guys, and then he's got guys at their peak, like Robert Thomas, and then he has that next wave of kids, not to mention the decision he made last summer to offer Sheep Broberg and Holloway, who are all over this win streak right now. And now, Jimmy Snuggerud signing Friday, he might play tomorrow night. All these different waves of the organizations are kind of coming together here, and that matters probably more to him than almost anything because, like any GM, you have doubts sometimes that this thing is going to work, right, when you retool a team. And he finally sees a team with an identity, to use his words, and it's obviously exciting for them.
You mentioned how much St. Louis likes that. Do you think guys like McDavid and Draisaitl are like, why the hell did we not match that, or why did that happen? I know there's some things, and Jamie's talked about it, that have went on behind the scenes that might have, could have, would have happened, but like that you look silly when they turn out to be playing like that, Pierre.
Yeah, I mean, Holloway's second on the team in scoring. And, honestly, I think Doug Armstrong will tell you that was a long-term play. I don't know that they thought that it would pay dividends this handsomely in year one of those contracts, but both guys are 23 years old. I know to answer your question, there was kind of a combination of factors that really worked against the Oilers last summer. One, as you guys remember, in late June, there's a parting of the ways with Ken Holland as GM. And so they're really, Jeff Jackson was sort of handling day-to-day GM duties until they replaced Ken Holland, later in the summer with Stan Bowman. But the complicating factors in all that is that, I kind of wonder sometimes if Ken Holland is still GM, he might have fought harder for these guys, these young guys that he knew well, and maybe there's a different path. But at the end of the day, by the time Stan Bowman's GM, the Oilers have no cap room. Like, they're jammed up, and he's got 7 days to decide. And yeah, it's easy to look back and say maybe they still should have matched and found another way to around the cap, of course. But I'm just saying it was kind of a perfect scenario for Doug Armstrong to attack. And guess what? That's why he smelled that one out.
All right, Pierre. We'll leave it there. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
All right. We got worked up there. I love it, boys.
Yes.
Have an awesome week.
You know it. It's going to be a good week, setting the tone. We love it. Thank you, Pierre. There's Pierre LeBrun, our TSN hockey insider. Leo Rautins coming up. The 4-1 seeds make it to the Final Four. That hasn't happened since 2008. We'll get Leo's take on that. Darko sticking around. Had his year 4 option picked up already. He's in year 2. So Darko's going to be here for the next couple of years. And the Raptors just keep winning, man.
Which is terrible.
It is, because it's getting scary, because you're reserved to the fact that, okay, you're 7th from the bottom, but San Antonio's coming down, Portland's coming down.
Every night they're playing a team worse than them.
You can't out-tank the Sixers, man. Like, you can't. It is so pathetic what's happened in Philly when you consider what they were supposed to be in, and just someone had a great tweet recently, like, no one is tempting the basketball gods like the Philadelphia 76ers the last, 15 years, right? Yeah. Like, it was the process, and it was, we're going to get Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz, and we're going to bring in Embiid, and we're going to bottom out, and then pop, and they just never popped, and now they're back at the bottom, and it's ugly, man. It's ugly what's going on. But the Raptors, to their credit, they're like, all right, we're going to show up and play, and I guess we'll win, and that's what they're doing right now. So more on that still to come. Best Bets coming up a little bit later in the hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, something to chew on, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. We've been asking about these torpedo bats that the Yankees have been using and others have been using. Should Major League Baseball ban them?
No.
44% of the vote saying yes, 56% saying no. So it's
they
close.
They look like a paddle. They kind of look like a paddle a little bit.
I think they should. I think they should. I think you should have. And it's not because the Yankees hit a bunch of home runs this weekend. Everyone should be using the same bat, in my opinion. I think you get, and that I know people are going to come back and say some are different lengths, some are different in terms of weight, some are heavier than others. But the conventional look of the bat is very simple to just say everyone's got to use a bat that looks the same.
No, dude.
Why not?
Dinosaur take, dude.
I don't.
Dinosaur take. These things are allowed. Someone looked at this bat and said it's fully legal. Go ahead.
And not everyone's using them. And there's a few guys, like Aaron Judge isn't even using them.
You want to sit in the ballpark for 4 hours and watch dribblers to second base? Launch them out of the building.
Pitchers are going to freak out. And go ahead, Noodles.
Oh, I was just going to say, you want excitement and home runs in that? Make the juice legal then. In the juice era, where guys they were knocking them out of the park, and the Sosa and McGuire and all of them. Bonds is a question mark. Allegedly. Whatever. Yeah. But
I've seen some clips of older veteran guys like Chipper Jones on Twitter, and he swears Ohtani, Judge, all of it. Nobody even comes close to what Barry Bonds in his prime was.
Nobody does.
Dude, he goes, this guy.
Insane.
Yeah, he was like, you made one mistake and it was in the ocean.
He would go through series where he would get intentionally walked 8-9 times, and they'd
get 4 pitches thrown to him. He'd hit every single one over the roof of the building.
Insane.
Literally 4 hit the strike zone, and he connected on all of them. 3 of them left the park. The other one went into the gap for a double. Guy's insane. Rafael Devers is not. The Sox played today. They lost to the Orioles home opener down at Camden Yards. He struck out 3 more times.
Oh, my God. So that's 15?
He's 0 for 19 to start the year. He has 15 strikeouts in 5 games. That's a guy. That's Lovelady. If you're Richard Lovelady up to the plate, you're in single A right now.
Yeah. Dude, if you spray painted Lovelady on the back of his jersey, he's ninja dust on.
Raphael Lovelady. That guy is somewhere in he's in New Hampshire right now.
Yeah. No, he's in that where did Manoah go in Florida? There.
Oh yeah, the
developmental league.
What was it called?
Complex league.
Yeah,
Florida Complex League.
He was in a complex.
You're right.
That's where it is.
Raphael Lovelady he's at the Complex League. But instead, it's Rafael Devers, and they still owe him $280 million. So he's going to find a way to play through this. All right, the Final Four is set. All the number 1 seeds have made it to the finish line. First time that's happened since 2008. Is that good for the tournament, bad for the tournament? There's no Cinderellas. Even yesterday with the Elite 8, it's 1 versus 2, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3. There's no 7 seeds, 8 seeds, 10 seeds, none of it. It hasn't really been a tournament that has existed from that standpoint. To chat about it, we're joined now by our TSN Raptors and NBA and March Madness analyst. Here's Leo Rautins. What's happening, Leo?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're doing very, very well.
Hayes was just talking about the 1 seeds, Leo, and I'm not going to act like I follow this really closely, but a lot of what I read is the transfer portals have a lot to do with that. Do you agree with that?
100%. I mean, hey, players are following the money. The money's got the big programs, the big schools, the name coaches. That's where the money is, right? And you look at the talent, the depth of the rosters. If you want a program today, you have to have money, a lot of money. And it's just the nature of the beast right now. And the NCAA really kind of screwed this up from years ago when we were all playing. Even the normal, just throw some bucks here and there just to get by, little things. That's all people wanted. And you wouldn't even do that, so everybody cheated. Well, now nobody's cheating, everybody's just paying. And it's crazy, right? Coaches are leaving, players are leaving. It's really become something. I didn't know if I'd ever see something like this, but basically, it's professional basketball, and the smaller schools are getting killed. But one thing you do see, well, actually, who's getting killed are high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a scholarship, you're a good player. Unless you're McDonald's All-American, you might not get a scholarship because a lot of coaches, hey, their jobs are on the line. It's no, hey, we'll develop the program. You win or you're fired. And so what happens is they're all going in transfer portal. They're getting guys that have got experience, and every one of them are saying, "Why do I want to get a high school kid and have to teach this kid how to play when I can get experience right now?" So I did notice all the levels of the games from the beginning I thought were better because you just had more experience in the tournament on every team, including small schools. But the big schools got the money, and that's where they are.
Well, you mentioned it, like this Auburn team, they're starting five. It's 24-year-old, 22-year-old, 25-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old. Like that's
making cake.
Well, of course, but like that's rare, right, Leo? Like usually it's you mix in a couple of freshmen. These guys, Van Wilder across the board, man. These guys should have jobs. Like they should be out working and living somewhere. I guess they do have
jobs, big money jobs, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, and what it is doing is making it a little bit more attractive not to jump to the NBA, right? A lot of guys don't have to take that chance now. There's less of a risk. I mean, you got guys making seven figures to stay. So your risk is kind of negated. You can't get insurance, and you're having fun, right? You're playing college hoops and you're having fun, and still getting paid. So it's not a bad deal for a lot of these guys.
Well, and again, the Cinderellas and the kind of mid-level schools and small schools, they really have not factored in. But now that we're down to the Final Four, like, can you spin this, Leo, in terms of the basketball is going to be at its best now because it's all the number one seeds, it's all the best players, the best programs. You got Cooper Flagg and Duke still in it. Like, what do you anticipate seeing in terms of level of basketball, and how can you pick who's the cream of the crop when you got you got four teams that are one seeds all in the Final Four?
Well, I think the level's going to be pretty good. I think we're going to see some pretty good basketball, but I'm still riding with Duke. You mentioned some of these teams and the age of these players. Duke's a young team, relatively speaking, but I'll tell you what, they are deep, they're talented, they're big, they're smart, they know how to play the game, they're well coached. And even if you look at Cooper Flagg, well, first of all, you got 3 potential lottery picks, multiple potential draft picks. But if you look at Cooper Flagg, the projected number 1, this kid knows how to play. And okay, there's 2 guys in the NBA. We've talked NBA stuff before that, Jokic and Shea. Those 2 guys play the game the right way. Right? They don't just play for stats. They play the game the right way, even though they have phenomenal stats. And Cooper Flagg does that too. He plays the game the right way. And he's not on a team where he's got to get 25 or 30 for them to win. So he has the luxury of learning the game, playing the game, and not being forced to just carry everything. And even though he could take 25 shots if he wants, he doesn't play that way because that's not the right play. So I love the way the kid plays, and I think it has a big impact on the rest of the team. So, I like Duke. I think Florida is, to me, the second best team. Walton Clayton Jr. Like this kid is Mr. Clutch. He's certainly been shown that he is the closer in this NCAA tournament. But I think those are the 2 best teams. I love Houston. Kelvin Sampson did an amazing job. They guard, they get after you. I think that his kids just love playing for him. I'd love for him to see some success, but I just don't know if they can get past Duke.
Leo, you think Cooper Flagg's like an automatic, just translates to the NBA and he's like a stud immediately?
I think it's going to take a little bit of time. There's always an adjustment. I think he's going to, first of all, he's a tough kid and he
Yeah.
works.
He
So
looks like he doesn't
he's going
screw
to,
around out there.
Yeah.
no, he doesn't. I know some people that have worked with him and they say, hey, he's all business. I mean, this kid's, he's got a high level of confidence and he's all business. So, you come to the league, you take, it's an adjustment for anybody, but he's got all the qualities that I think that are going to make him a great player in the league. And, today, if you could shoot the ball, that's a big plus, right? And he can shoot it from anywhere on the floor, and he can guard. There's a lot, you look at him at Duke. I mean, he'll guard 1 through 5. They can switch, they can do whatever they want. He'll guard everybody on the floor. So when you got a guy like that coming into the league, I think the transition becomes a lot easier.
With Leo Rautins, Raptors back in action in Chicago tomorrow night, and the reports came out over the weekend that the Raps picked up the 4th-year option for Darko Rajakovic, actually, I think last year. He's in year 2. That means he'll be here next year, and you presume he'll be there into year 4. What have you seen out of Darko this year that has shown some sort of evolution in terms of his coaching? He's never been a head coach at the NBA level. And what do you think Masai and Bobby see in him that would make you believe he is the right guy to transition this team into that next stage?
Well, it does make you think a little bit, too, about what's happening this season a little bit. You're in a rebuild, and I'm going, lose.
Yeah,
Lose.
they keep winning.
They keep winning, and you're starting to wonder, with the confidence given to Darko, what's the real plan? Is it to lose, or is it to kind of be somewhere in the middle? I don't. You kind of get a little confused with that, but I will say on Darko's part, I think he's done a phenomenal job. If you're just going to break it down and look at coaching, you look at a lot of these guys. I mean, how many games have the Raptors just thrown out 5 guys and they won the game, right? Young guys, draft picks, undrafted. That tells you that part of what's happening is development, right? You got to develop players. The Raptors had great success when they won a championship. They developed a Pascal, they developed a Pirtle, they developed a Powell. They did a lot of good things that way. And because by the nature of the program where we are in Toronto, et cetera, you have to have development. And so the development has been amazing. And you look at some of the other guys, even the more veteran players, RJ Barrett's game's gotten better. Scotty Barnes has gotten better. Quickly's gotten better. We're seeing more and more from every guy. So in the big scheme of things, you got to be impressed. You really have to be impressed. And the fact that even when things are not looking crappy early on in the year, not winning any games, not winning on the road, nothing. There was never a drop in morale. There was never a drop in effort, nothing. This team plays hard every game. There's a lot to be said with that because you look around the league and look at what's happening right now. Man, it's
ugly, man.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Well, the biggest challenge, and I know it's a weird question to ask, but is that what's positive about this 4-game winning streak? Is the development? Because you just said it. It's taking them out of a situation where you're not going to get as good a draft pick, but you're helping some of the young guys get to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's definitely a silver lining. And if you look at a lot of the Raptors are a good, bad team. If you look at the bad teams that are in the mix, they're better than them. So what we're seeing as far as the core, the potential, I think I've been saying this for a while. There aren't great teams. There are good teams in this league, but there's no teams you can't touch these guys. They're unbelievable. There's no teams like that. Mm-hmm. That means the climb to get closer to the top, to become a playoff team, to have success is not great. You always got to do the right things, and you got to make the right moves, and you got to have the development, but it's not insurmountable, right? Years back, that would be like you're looking up how we ever going to get to somebody's teams. But I think there's some good teams, but you can make it, right? So you're not that far off when you look at kind of the core and how they can tweak it, what they can pick up in a draft, what they can do with a trade or trades. It's. I think there's reason for optimism. I really do, because, like I said, of all the bad teams, some of these teams just are really like I don't even want to watch them. They're terrible.
Horrible. Yeah, it's horrible, man. And how about your former team, Leo? The Sixers they're playing with fire, man. Like I don't know how long the process can go on. I don't even know what stage they're in anymore. And now it's pathetic to watch them play right now.
It is, and the worst thing is you're charging NBA prices for G League games, right? And it's horrible for the fans. But Philadelphia, you talk about playing with fire. Personally, I respect Embiid's talent. I've never been a fan of Embiid. I would not have given him the money. I wouldn't have, because he's never going to give you a championship. He's never going to be on the floor enough, and I don't know how much that matters to him. To be personally, honest about it, I don't know, because when I watch, I watch body language, I watch interactions with players. I've talked to teammates that have played there, and I go, if it's me, I wouldn't have made that investment, because now they're in a hole. They're in a big hole, and good luck getting out of it.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. And they got that top 6 that's protected. They're trying to do everything they can to make sure they end up there in terms of those lottery balls falling their way, but we'll see. We're still a couple weeks away from that. Great catching up with you, Leo. Enjoy the Final Four and down the stretch in the NBA. Thank you for doing this.
Always appreciate it, guys.
You got it. There's Leo Rautins. And you can see, of course, during March Madness on TSN. Raptors in Chicago tomorrow. That'll be a good one.
We talked about it briefly in a commercial break today, Brian, but I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen in pro sports, if there's going to be some type of correction, because he just mentioned charging NBA prices for G League games. And I'm talking to common fans down on Lakeshore and Mimico. Like, nobody can afford to do anything anymore. Like, nobody can go to a game. Mm-hmm. They can't afford the parking, let alone I just wonder where it goes. Like, you talk about price increases and just the general cost of everything, what that's going to mean. Like, if buildings are starting to be empty, what the hell is that going to mean for anything in pro sports? Especially gate-driven leagues.
It's a very valid question.
Like, it is. It's a great question.
It's so much money.
Like, people can't afford, unless you're some corporation that has corporate seats, no one can afford to go to a damn game.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
A family of 4, parking, food.
What is it? $2,500?
We did. I mean, I've the last couple of years, I brought my kids, my wife. We've gone to a Leaf game on a Saturday night, and it's probably all in. It's over $1,000. Like for all the tickets, for parking. You go out for dinner beforehand, then you go and you're buying popcorn, you're buying drinks. Even if it is more, it doesn't matter. If it's $1,000, that's insane. Like, that is insane to even say it, and I've done it, and I paid for it, and it's it's an experience that I want my kids to. I want to have. When I was a kid, I went to the Gardens. I'd go to the Leaf games.
Yes.
My greatest memories as a kid, and I want my kids to have the same thing. And I know I can speak for almost every parent, even if you're not a sports fan. You'd be like, that'd be an incredible experience for people to go to.
But I've just been wondering that, like,
it's crazy.
If no one can go to the games, what the hell happens? Like there's got to be some kind of correction. I want players to get paid. If they deserve it, they deserve it. I don't care what kind of money guys make. Yeah. But if it's just so expensive that no one can go, what the hell are we going to do?
Well, listen, it's and there's a lot of depth to it, and we don't have to get into it with where society is, though. But a lot of people just kind of stay home and look at their screens now. That's another thing, and this isn't the responsibility of sports leagues or sports owners, but you're fighting for eyeballs, you're fighting for people to get in the building, and they're investing. Like Rogers Center just invested $300 billion plus. They're doing that at Scotiabank. You go down there, you walk through the main floor corridors. They're working on stuff. Like
they're the nicest hotels in North America in an arena.
Yeah, they're rebuilding. They're investing. They're building into the infrastructure, and what they're going to do is make it cost even more. It's going to cost even more to get in the building, to get tickets, to buy food down there, buy drinks. And I'm with you. I don't know where it's going.
It goes. Like where does
I don't know where it's going.
And this is why you see fan bases travel to other cities where it's maybe more economically cheaper. Like it just, this is a big city. We live in one of the biggest cities in North America.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And there's a lot of money here, and it's supply and demand, and the prices are what they are because people are buying them largely.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of money, man.
It is.
It's a lot of money to go to games. Best Bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
You liked a good pre-drink? You liked a good pre-drink back in the day?
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed one. Doogie was just telling us all about it. He's hitting the rave scene now.
What?
Pre-games, post-games.
What was your pre-drink move? Would you just seem like an old school, like Molson Canadian guy?
Yeah, I'd mix it up. Sometimes I'd go down that route. Sometimes, you'd mix in a vodka or something. I don't know, depending on what the scene was like and what you were doing. But you got a Saturday night Leaf game, all the boys together for a pregame. You can't beat that.
Oh,
you can't beat that. That's the kind of stuff you like. You guys always talk. You miss dinners with the club. Being on the bus with the boy. I don't miss ever going to a bar or anything like that.
I don't either.
I miss hanging out with buddies because you don't do that anymore. It just doesn't. Everyone, we're older. Everyone's married, kids, scattered. You go back to when you're like 20 years old, 25 years old. You got a big Leaf game, swing by the house. You can't beat that, man.
Wow.
Cannot beat it.
I don't mind going to the bar with old Strutty in the tight pants.
Exactly.
Go to work, eh?
Absolutely. The night train. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm on the over in the Jays game tonight. Total's 8.5. I think the Jays bats come alive tonight. The National, Mike Soroka, your boy. Mike Soroka, good Calgary Flame guy.
Noodles.
Big Calgary boy.
Him.
Loves noodles. He's on a mound, but I think there's going to be some contact tonight. I think the torpedo bats are going to be in play. Today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every MLB game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19+, physically located in Ontario. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.